Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a very late start today as, for whatever reason, my internet was out this morning. Oh, well, life happens. And now that we're back on, well, it's back to work, I suppose. Anyways, with all of that said, there's plenty to talk about on Bitcoin, especially on the lower and medium-term timeframes. I'm going to follow up from yesterday's analysis as we did hit our short-term targets at 9,100 and 9,300 respectively. Now what? Is always like the question in a YouTube title, that good old clickbait. Jesus Christ, man. And don't forget to sign up to my Bybit link or my Femex link or my fucking suck my dick link. If you could do that, it'll actually even do whatever the fuck you don't want to happen. There you go. Anyways, there is like I said, plenty to talk about on the short and medium term time frames. Higher term time frames, more or less the same, still the same areas. 9,800 to the upside, 8,600 to the downside. Spoiled the surprise. Now you can click off the video. Terrible job at doing YouTube right now on my own end. Apologies for that. Anyways, I will maybe be on Twitch today. I'm not so sure just yet. If I'm not, Elsa probably will be. Just need to figure out a few things first. Need to get a few other tasks and errands done. I will be uploading to my new gaming channel for anyone who happens to give a fuck. It is at Total Krown for anyone who's interested, especially in strategy games like Total War. I'm all about that right now. So if you want to go nerd out with me over there, definitely feel free to. I will put a link in the comment section. But of course, if that's not you, then don't feel obligated. It's all good. Anyways, looking at Bitcoin over here on the Krown trading application, which can be found at app.krowntrading.net. We do see that open interest kind of actually backed off from yesterday, about $100 million. Which again, because this is a little bit, because it's not just a little bit new, it's like very new for us, as I don't really know any other good documentation of like all the major derivative exchanges showing open interest. I don't really have any major implications to be made off of that, although we do see open interest coming down as price action is coming up, which does suggest a little bit of a red flag for perhaps a greater rally. Although I do still kind of hold on to what I was saying yesterday, that I actually do think that this rally probably does test a little bit higher, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish. Short term still looks a little bit primed here. Anyways, on top of that, we do see Bitcoin dominance has shot up a little bit, about 0.5%, along with price action going up. So alt's not able to outrun the cream pie party. And other than that, everything else looks more or less the same. Fear and greed index ticked up to a couple points to a 41. Don't have much to be made out of that. So let's go look at price action right over here. And starting off with, let's actually start off in the lower term time frames, just because that's where the action's going on right now. So yesterday we said very likely that Bitcoin was going to pop back up to the 9,300-ish region. And that was triggered by either a 2-hour daily closure above 8,950 or just a takeout of 2 days ago's high at 9,000, about 9,000 essentially. And there, looks good to me. Now there are a few implications here. Now I did say that I would be looking for a pullback after that first test to 9,300 short term. I think that we're getting that right now. And this is actually very telling with what we're doing in the lower term timeframes, because I actually do think that Bitcoin's going to give another continuation go here, even though there are several considerations that do suggest at the very least a test back down to like maybe 9,000. But what we can say right here, because that was sort of the gatekeeper for that last little move, we can actually use the same areas that we had plotted out yesterday. And in fact, this one right here, maybe a little bit less. Well, we could actually move it up just a little bit. We could do some more like this, make a nice little liquid zone right here. Could probably even just nail it down to just one horizontal. You can all see that the 4-hour 200 simple is going to be crawling its way up there, probably in the next tick or two, up to this $9,000 region. So I like that as a nice basing zone, as long as Bitcoin's above it. I actually do think that this is going to give another try to the upside. Taking out yesterday's high at 9,300 would very likely extrapolate that move another $200 higher or $250 higher, up to the 95.50-ish region right here, which I've been postulating for the last few days. No real like time frame on this, but would probably happen sooner rather than later, before the end of the week, if this is going to shape up rather nicely. Now, again, does that mean that I am like full on bullish on the higher term timeframes or full on bearish on the higher term timeframes? No, I want to be very deliberately clear with stating this, because I feel like this is where I perhaps get misheard the most, and so I want to try my best to be as clear as possible, in order to hopefully help that out a little bit if I can. If I do want to be taking some responsibility, because it is my expressions after all. And realistically, 9,800 is still that level to the upside. As long as we're below that area, I just look at this as one massive consolidation in the way that Bitcoin typically likes to play out its consolidations. over the course of 2 to 3 months before big continuation drives or big reversal dumps or pumps. Well, in this case would be a dump. And to the downside for that area would still be 8,600. You know, as long as we're just oscillating between those two levels, it's a game of supporting resistance for myself with a short term and even medium term bias to the upside here. Now there is actually several occurrences of hidden bearish divergence, but I wouldn't be looking for the hidden bearish divergence to play out. And I need to again say this very carefully. I wouldn't be looking for it to play out as long as we're above this blue box right here. And I'd even use the top end of it in yesterday's low at 90.50 to kind of judge that. So whether you're more conservative or more aggressive, it's just a $50 range between 90.50 and 9,000-ish region. And as long as we're above there, I actually do think that it's going to try to reconsolidate within this region and give another try to the upside. Like I said, I would be looking for continuation with either a 2-hour digital closure above 92.60. Is that a less high? Let's just call it 9300. And then realistically, the last spike high was 9304.5. I think if even Bitcoin, wicks above that high, it very likely will get that next continuation up here, as there's just not really too much stopping it. And realistically, I feel like this is one of those molasses times of Bitcoin where it gets stuck in the mud, gets everyone bullish by going up, a few $100, gets everyone bearish by going down a few $100, but realistically, the high-term time frame range has been unbroken. We've seen this many times in the past, of which, if you've been in this market for even, 2 years now, you're a fucking veteran at this point. And that's kind of the beauty of Bitcoin, is that you get a lot of experience very quickly. But this, this example over here, nice little descending triangle on this high over the course of about a month and a half, actually. So a little bit on the lower side. This one over here, this one also a little bit on the shorter side as well, about a month it looks like, on the $10,500 high right here. This one, a humongous one, 3-month consolidation in this ascending triangle. Let's actually just draw them out. Why the fuck not, man? Or maybe I already have them drawn out. Oh, I do have them already drawn out. Wow, that's crazy. It's like, it's almost as if we look at the same fucking thing every day. Hey, Bitcoin mostly doesn't do shit. By the way, it was very enlightening to go on to Twitter this morning for all the crypto for crypto Twitter. The big issue of the day was Goldman Sachs said Bitcoin's bad and they're liars and fuck them. It's like, okay, you would have been praising them to the fucking heavens if they would have said anything good about Bitcoin. Jesus Christ. And then for the rest of Twitter is all about riots and whatnot. America at its finest. Just people fucking rioting and looting. It's like, great, man. I understand. I understand the plight. I understand the frustrations with the political and police situation there. But Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, I'm not so sure that this is a good response. It's like Jesus Christ, man. I guess I just won't understand that. Then we have this example over here as I get more and more away from the actual point of this fucking video. This massive ascending triangle for 3 months in early 2019 before that big reversal. This big descending triangle right here for about 3 months at the end of 2018 before this 50% drop, and then actually a nice triangle in the formation of a descending triangle on our $20,000 high as well, which actually didn't bother plotting out there. But all these ones, usually do produce massive reversals, actually. Now, just because they've been reversals in the past doesn't mean it's always going to be reversal. No, it's not. I've seen every fucking pattern break out every way that it's not supposed to, according to pattern traders. It's just about statistics, man. At the end of the day, it's more likely to break out to the downside because it is technically lower highs right now. And that kind of does seem to be the pattern du jour for Bitcoin, or the pattern of the last 10 years for Bitcoin. But realistically, if Bitcoin breaks above 9,800, I don't really see any reason to be bearish. I really don't see any reason to be bearish. I'd at least look for a move to 10.5 and then probably 11.5 after that, and then that's where the super macro comes into play. Anyways, while we go back down to lower term timeframes, because I haven't really rounded out my thoughts there just yet. Yes, there is actually significant hidden bearish divergence pretty much on all timeframes up to, let's see what it goes up to. Forming up to a 12-hour. What about a daily? Daily does not have it actually in it. Does not have, or hold on. No, it would not. We actually made a new high here on a daily, so fair enough. So for the divergence fuckboys, unfortunately, no, that would not work out there. But on 12-hour, actually no either, because it also made a higher made a higher high there above our last kind of stutter step right here in the 9200ish region. Let's see, maybe a 10-hour. Yeah, a 10-hour potentially could make it. Yes, that would only be had though if we confirm this as a local high, and I do believe that judging by the lower term timeframes, this would not really be confirmed as a local high until we at the very least move below yesterday's low at 90.55 on Mexico. If we close a 2-hour dildo below there, that would be a lot better for confirming hidden bearish divergence. And then I'd be looking for a move probably back down here towards 88 or 8700ish region. So only $300, $400 on meat on the bones right there. Potential continuation as well to the downside if that were to happen. But for right now, I actually do think that Bitcoin's probably more poised to give another test to the upside. I feel like a lot of people are getting very bearish off this, and I don't think that the bears are all that off because, well, realistically, we do have lower highs on the daily now, and we do have macro lower highs over the last 2-3 years, so it's kind of problematic. But does that mean when we're talking about big massive numbers where Bitcoin can move $1,000 and still kind of maintain that low, well, technically not anymore, about $700 or $600 and still maintain that lower high setting? I don't really see the allure in shorting in this area right here with marginal margins. Looking at momentum oscillators, we actually are going to see them come back down, so maybe I will be eating my words. 4-hour Silks looking like they want to cross the downside. They will cross the downside if Bitcoin price action fails to close above 92.16.7 on the next 4-hour total closure in 2 hours and 23 minutes and 34 seconds. Let's go take a look at the 3-hour. 3-hour shows about the same area, a little bit higher than that, 92.50ish region, and that's also the 200 simple essentially as well, and would start to, I think actually it would not print 3-hour higher highs, but fair enough. If Bitcoin were to close above that level, regaining the 200 simple, I would look at that as setting up for another drive higher, like I said, to about 95, maybe 9600, $100 pocket over there. It looks good to me. 2-hour basically the same as well, 92.31, and an hourly is probably going to be about the same, I would imagine as well. Yeah, 91.75 will maintain its upwards posturing actually right now. So I wouldn't put it past Bitcoin to make another try to the upside higher. That would really start to tire out the lower term time frame oscillators, and then we might have some hidden bearish divergence to be looking at with like the higher term time frames like the 12-hour and the daily, somewhere around that 95. 9600ish region, and I'd like to kind of watch that one in real time rather than just postulate ideas before they even happen, because that's what crystal ballers do. Anyways, as far as trading goes, I'm actually still flat because I didn't have access to the internet this fucking morning, so there's that. It doesn't really help, but I suppose yesterday was really the trade to be had. And I wasn't too focused on it yesterday either. Looking at 12-hour momentum oscillators, we do see that they are postulated to go to the upside here. We do have a nice trend line forming from our last few highs coming in on this consolidation, I believe. Yes, going all the way back to 29th of April, connected to 8th of May, and then again in 19th of May. That would be this high right here, this high right here, and then this high right here. So it would make sense that if if Bitcoin does want to test a little bit of upside, looking for another drive into that region while testing this trend line would be a damn good, at the very least, short-term stopping point, maybe even medium-term stopping point as well, maybe even overall reversal point as well. We'll see if and where Bitcoin is when and if that even fucking happens. If it's putting in a lower high at that point, then yeah, I'd say it's probably warranted to get very bearish. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but looking at this, we are primed from a historical volatility percentile perspective. We spoke about this over the last few days, looking for this to kind of curl back around and get a positive slope on the moving average while you see sustained moves higher and higher and higher on these historical volatility percentile bars right here. And that should be even further shown by our lower time frames kind of working together here. Yeah, indeed, actually. No, actually not indeed. 4 hours still contracting. 4 hours still contracting. It kind of has more of a regression going through here. I tend to trust this one as a little bit less, but it would still suggest a resolution point relatively soon, like within. I think we're about to turn the month soon, so around then. 3 hour, same sort of thing. Actually, the 3 hour looks a little bit more accurate. Or sorry, no, it does not. Maybe it was the 2 hour or the hourly. It was the hourly. Yeah, it was the hourly right here, which is looking set to expand as well. So I do think that Bitcoin's actually kind of building a little bit of a case here. To be fair, we do have a higher low confirmed on an hourly, so it's going to the moon. Just kidding. Okay, terrible joke to make when sometimes there's no room for jokes, sir. Anyways, let's see. What else do we want to look at? I do have to make this video a little bit shorter just because it's already late. It's already late. But I also am a not a cryptocurrency, but a technical analysis nerd. So now you're gonna get it from me in both ends, my friends. And that applies to all genders out there. I do not discriminate. An ass in it? No, I won't say it. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. What do we have here? Looks like it's trying to. No. This is not expanding. This is contracting over the long period of time. It is a regression down. 12 hour, same thing. Daily, same thing as well. I would be looking for a spike up as we are relatively low here almost in the single digits, or maybe just barely in the single digits. It says a 10 read on that, but I think it's rounding up. So I would be looking for a spike to the upside on this, but that is going to fall within the greater context of contraction over the long period of time. And I believe that this trend line right here that we're kind of working on, which is experimental right now to say the least, does suggest likely though, it kind of does suggest likely though that we will see the macro resolved somewhere around here. September, August, late August, early September of this year. And when I talk about the macro, I'm talking about, above 11,500 or below basically like 6,900. Those are the two big pivots as far as the macro goes, not to be confused with the higher term timeframes. Anyways, while we're on the daily, daily stocks have been coming down and nosediving this whole way, while price action's been essentially kind of just caught within a range. So I do look at that as kind of a bullish reset. We do see that daily momentum oscillators will turn back up to the upside above 9,400. So of course, if Bitcoin did get to 95, it would very likely turn the daily as well, assuming that we close above there. And with 12 hour kind of already leading the way and will be staying to the upside as long as we're above 87.50, I do believe that offers up a very nice pivot to the downside as well, kind of in line with the 12 hour 89 exponential moving average. So everything rhyming relatively well right now. I think it's just more or less kind of a boring time as far as the bigger moves go in Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin's building a case right here, and we've been consolidating within this region about a month now. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does tend to take a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, the ranges are pretty damn well defined. I suppose I will go over the long term now, really, really quickly because, well, why the fuck not? Below 8,600, that is bad. It's bad. Technically, we do have a descending triangle, and it actually would imply a move down to 7,400, also in line with the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. And we do see actually the 618 kind of nicely held below that at 6,900, which I do like that area as well. So if Bitcoin did break below 8,600, let's call it on a 4-hour dildo at the very least, preferably a 12-hour or a daily would look a lot better. If you want to use a 4-hour, I think being more conservative and looking at 8,500 would be better, just to like get that last local low that we had in 10th of May. But if that were to happen, I would look for a relatively quick move down here, down towards 8,100. This is our 8,100-ish region right here. Could Bitcoin bounce off that level and reverse? Yes, possible. I do think extremely strong likelihood for a nice bounce, maybe even all the way back up to 8,600. I want to see it in real time, but I do think that destroying 8,600 would kind of be the nail in the proverbial coffin for the foreseeable future if that were to happen. And then I'd look for a small bounce there, maybe up to like 80, 85, 86, and then assuming that does fail, I'd be looking for a move down to that 7,400, 7,500-ish target from the measured move. And if that one fails, I'd actually be looking for extension all the way down to 6,900-ish region, because it's a great number, and also that is a beautiful base that Bitcoin broke out of a little bit more than a month ago. So I do like the symmetry there within the market. To the upside, it's a little bit more exciting just because the levels are a lot better defined and also imply a lot more as far as the macro goes, potentially as well. We do see that above 95.50-ish region, I would be looking for an overall test back up into this region right here, but keep in mind, our downtrend from our last $10,000 high is coming in right around about 9,700, and we'll eventually meet up with the 95.50 liquid zone right here within about 5 days, 6 days, June 2nd, June 3rd, it will naturally get around there. So Bitcoin will actually be forced to make a decision upon that. at some point, because it is descending after all, but it still has some time here. It still has some time, and if it does break above that level, it still doesn't do that much for me. It's this level right here. I need to see a horizontal broken. I don't really care too much about diagonals, even though I do plot them out from time to time. It's more so for confluence, or really only in confluence. And if Bitcoin can close above 9,800, construct a higher high here on the daily above this area right here, I would be looking at this as a very sloppy symmetrical triangle, which actually would have, I believe, we postulated this the other day. I'll do a very bad drawing of this right now. Yeah, it would imply a move actually all the way back up to almost $11,000, which to me that's actually very telling, because if Bitcoin could even close a daily above 10,400, or even just wick above our last prior high at 10,500, depending upon your exchange. It's 550 on Mexico, it's 500 on Stamp, or close a weekly. One of these threes is all good enough above our last prior high right there. On a weekly closing basis at about 10,150, I would get bullish for another extension of $1,000, and because that measure move would be pointed already north of 10,500, it would be relevant to think that there's probably more meat on the bones there. And then the 11,500 area is the most interesting area in Bitcoin land for the boo laws, because that's the area that Bitcoin's been getting institutional order flow thrust in its face for the last 2.5 years, since January 2018. This big breakdown right here, 50% down, another double top rejection in February, a month later in 2018, then again in July 2019, then 1 month later in June, and then August is what I'm trying to say. And so above that level, we can very I mean, at that point, I really do think that the Bitcoin bulls actually have something pretty special in their back pockets. Generally, I'd just be looking up to 16,000 would become a legitimate target. 20,000 is on the cards after that. And from a volume profile perspective, it also agrees. I mean, shit, it even agrees above 10.5 right here. You can see that there's a massive drop off above there after building quite a big case, on the lower end, or I guess it's better seen like this, because, well, it's not really relevant to what we're looking at right now, although it is relevant to the super macro, to be fair. So if Bitcoin does break to the downside, well, we could talk about some interesting doomsday scenarios there too. But realistically speaking, it does suggest that above 11.5, it's a completely different ballgame. Even above 10.5, it looks long-term good if that were to happen. Momentum oscillators on the weekly, again, looking relatively good here. We do see weekly Stochs still pointed north and erect. We do see weekly RSI bouncing off this area, and more importantly, this bounce is coming at the right time for the boo laws. As remember, we were postulating a falling wedge here on RSI. I think best seen on CMEs. I just tend to trust this chart a lot more. Can't really see it right here because the RSI price is covering it up. But you can, if you squint, you can see the blue actually bouncing off the retest of this. So far so good, but it does need follow through, of course. And if we do come back down below this trend line and end below this trend line, I would say that would be a damn good indication that this is going to be a fake out. Anytime that you do see something like that, we're probably going to spend some time in the bearish control zone, and that probably comes along the breakage of 8,600, which is going to be mayhem for another at least $1,000, probably $1,500 at least. So yeah, for right now, good. And I do think that the boo laws are going to get another try here. Looking at this from a bearish Fibonacci perspective, we do see that the 618 is right around that 9,800-ish level on CMEs, and we do see that the 382 is actually right around that low $7,000 region, and the 0.5 is around 8,600. This is a bearish retracement, by the way, from $14,000 high to 3,100 low. So yeah, what else do we want to talk about before I get off this bitch? Saying all sorts of weird shit today. Oh well. I wonder when I'm gonna be banned from YouTube. Nasdaq did hit our $9,600 target, and then guess what? It hit our $9,150 target. So I don't really have as much to say about it other than that right now. I do think that it is still overall bullish long term, but I want to see how the monthly closes. If the monthly closes anywhere above 9,000, I'm very bullish for new all-time highs over the next couple months. There's going to be ebbs and flows. There's probably going to be another move back down to that 9,100 base. But as long as the monthly closes above 9,000, and there's only 1 day left in the trading month to go, for traditional markets, then just be generally bullish. Looks good here to me. E-mini futures for SPY, same thing, but a little bit less interesting. Not as strong as Nasdaq. Any sort of a monthly close above 3,000, and I would be looking for at the very least a test up to 315, and probably a retest of the prior highs and probably beyond. I don't really see any reason to be bearish on that, as the traditional markets tend to move together. We do have rotations going on in the market right now, so I think techs are kind of getting rotated down, and the laggards are getting rotated up right now, which is actually usually a sign of kind of like the at the very least short-term edge, which I think is what we saw yesterday. I mean, we saw a move down from 96 all the way to 91.50. I mean, that's what we were looking for. So, I mean, it's still an uptrend. it's still an uptrend. It's kind of a sombering thought right there. But I'd really prefer to wait for the monthly closure in order to come back and look at this one. Until then, I think that we've had all the good trades there, or at least this is not financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, but I feel like, you know, we've seen most easy trades there. Right now, it's time to just watch and let it set. Gold being constructive as well, but I pretty much have the same thing to say about this. I mean, we did. I don't want to say that we called it. I fucking hate that terminology, but we did get that almost $1,800 target hit. I just want to see the monthly close now. I feel like the easy trades have been had here. Any sort of monthly close, I mean, especially above 1700 or higher, looks good for continuation to prior highs, maybe beyond. But for right now, you know, bearish divergence plus a jewel sell signal on the daily right here, getting that first nice move to the downside. I am hesitant to say that this is going to get continuation like right now. I think it's more or less sideways, and if the jewel has anything to say about it, plus historic volatility percentile, we could very easily come back down to 1650. So I want to see the monthly close first before saying anything else. It can either set up as incredibly bullish or looking for a pullback, maybe even all the way down to like 1600. Other than that, maybe go check out CMEs. Still, it's a golden cross on the daily, 12-hour and 2-day. CMEs looks a lot more like a healthy consolidation, actually, with a higher low right here. Also hidden bullish divergence actually on there. So I do think that it'll probably be good. You know, again, judging from this, I actually think that is probably going to try up towards not just 95, 9600, but maybe even 97, 9800. That's on CMEs, which have about $100 premium on price action for spot. Spot has the same thing as well. You know, it does have hidden bullish divergence here, and I believe that's all the way up to a 2-day. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. The daily has hidden bullish divergence confirmed. The 2-day, the 2 days, this would be a difficult one. I could say that it already does actually have it confirmed, which would imply a move actually back up to this high right here, or around it at least, like 97, 9800. So maybe my 95, 9600 target is a little bit too conservative. I mean, the 2-day is still running. It's still got the golden cross, still diverging away from each other. I mean, it looks good there. And from a volume profile perspective, nothing really stopping it from 9800. 21 is rising above the 200 as well, and we've tested it a couple times. I mean, it's very difficult to be bearish as long as we're above that level for like an actual breakdown. And where does that level come in around? Well, 8600. So I still like that area, man. I'm cautiously bullish here on the short and medium term timeframes, and if I had to call it right now, I actually do think that Bitcoin's probably gonna try again to the upside. Especially if the stock market can keep it up as well. This is a 10-year trend that has just been your friend for the last 10 years. I don't understand why crypto anarchists want this to go away. Because right now the traditional markets is very strong, and when the traditional markets crashed, so did Bitcoin. When traditional markets went up, so did Bitcoin. Hey, maybe, just fucking maybe, we're on the same goddamn fucking team, you non-team player and fuck. Sorry. Okay, and there goes half the community here, but that's okay, because I've actually had talks with people about this. That I wouldn't mind if this community got smaller. If it was about half the size that it is, that would be cool by me. But we have to have the right 20,000. I think for my gaming channel, yeah, you can. Anyone's welcome there. It's all good. It's gaming. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? Do I just sound like a complete fucking moron yet, or what? Butyrol versus dollar looking constructive here as well, bouncing off the 200 simple. Again, to me it looks like it's gonna try up towards 215.5, and this looks a lot more like an ascending triangle with higher lows. It looks bullish. Above 215.5, 216 on a daily close, I'd be looking at 245, 250. Litecoin looks like absolute dog shit, but gonna do whatever Bitcoin does, so why even look at it, sir? All right, so yeah, time to wrap up the lower term time frames once again, I suppose. Bitcoin, as long as it's above 90.50, I wouldn't look for any of those lower term time frame hidden bearish divergences to play out. I think that the daily and 2-day are taking over right here, and I would be looking for further continuation, on a confirmation, not even a confirmation, but a wick above yesterday's high at 93.04.5 on Mexico. I'm curious if other exchanges got as high. Yeah, 93 even on Stamp. I'll even put an alert there right now, and if that does get taken out, I look for a quick move up here, And then we get to play the game of is Bitcoin putting in a macro lower high or not? Above 9,800, very bullish. Below 8,600, very bearish. And I think that's my cue to sign off. I'll be back on tomorrow and maybe even Twitch later today, depending upon how the next few hours goes. I want to wish you well once again. Take care, and until next time.